Hello, good people of YouTube. Mountbatten here. And today we are going to be talking about situational awareness, a very important skill in World of Warships that is often just disregarded by many a person. I've been guilty of this too. I'm always trying to improve my situational awareness as well. But before we get into these two matches that I got to show you guys here, if you ever want to know a bit more about myself, how I got started doing YouTube, and some behind-the-scenes information, or some more information about what I think about the current state of World of Warships, I went on the Rank Amateur podcast this past weekend, and a link to it is in the description down below. Me and the person who runs that, a fellow by the name of Jaden, had a nice discussion about World of Warships, myself, what got me into World of Warships, and some other behind-the-scenes stuff about running the channel, some things that I've encountered and such. And if you want to check that out, I would encourage you to check it out. We had a lovely conversation. Link to his podcast, again, is in the description down below. But I have a little clip here from the podcast if you guys would like to just get a little sample of it. But anyway, I will put a timestamp there if you are not interested, so you can just get back to the video. But again, please go check him out. We had a nice time, and enjoy the little clip. I have a Discord notification, and one of the guys that's going to be in the video says, "Hey, your video's been taken down by YouTube." I was like, "Oh, no. It's unlisted. Like, it's not on the channel. Just follow the link." He's like, "No, like, it's been taken down." I'm like, what the heck? Open up YouTube, and I get a notification that can't remember the wording exactly, but it's like, you've violated the community guidelines and all this stuff. Yada yada yada. I'm like, what? So I go to my emails, and they took down that unlisted, unfinished trailer for hate speech, and I got a community guideline strike, which that's like bad. That's super bad for YouTube. So, and at the bottom say, if you think this is a mistake, explain your reasoning here, and we'll review it. I'm like, okay. So they saw Mustache Man. And there's like a bot that watches every video that goes up, and like Mustache Man and swastikas, which I now call angry plus signs on YouTube. They're one of the things that they like straight away gets tagged for hate speech apparently. So I'm like, okay, so I just type, hey, this was a trailer for a cinematic recreation of the Battle of the Denmark Strait. It's historical in nature. It's not promoting Nazism or Adolf Hitler or the Third Reich or Nazi Germany or anything like that. It's like this really long, it wound up being like 1 or 2 paragraphs by the time I got done with it. I sent it to him. 10 minutes later, I got a response saying that they reviewed it and it's still hate speech, and the strike's going to stick in 10 minutes. So
wow.
There's no way that that got sent to a person and they looked at it and they said no. Looking at the context of my channel being a channel based around World of Warships, which is a game that's based around World War II naval combat.
Wow.
And saw what it was and still said it was hate speech. So that happened. And that strike's still there. It doesn't go away. All right, so back to this match right here. So I'm in GK, of course, naturally my favorite battleship. Despite the current meta being what it is, I still have a secondary build on the GK with Lucians, of course. And I know it's not optimum, but sometimes you gotta realize this is a video game. Not everything is about getting the optimum build. Sometimes we're allowed to have fun. But random battles, for myself at least, they are mostly about having fun. And I'm more willing to do some silly things in random battles. My personal opinion is that if you want to be really sweaty and stuff, that's what ranked and clan battles are for. But at the same time, you still need to be doing the best you can to win and have fun at the same time. So here we are on Two Brothers. I spawned on the eastern side of the map, and as you can see, the friendly team has heavily gone to the A cap, while we only have a Gearing Shimakaze, Smallnitska Minotaur, and myself over here at the D cap. They have easily almost double the amount of ships over there at the A cap. And as you can see, there's some torpedoes heading my way, and I'm turning in as hard as I can, but my luck, of course, these 2 torpedoes right here, they just don't want to part ways, and that's nowhere near a big enough gap for a GK, and I wind up eating both torpedoes on the nose for a very cool 29,000 damage off the bat. And, I thought, okay, if I slow down the GK, those 2 torpedoes, they probably would have spread out a little bit more, and I would have been fine, but, of course, when it's me in the GK and not my torpedoes, naturally the torpedoes barely move apart from each other. But like again, when I use a torpedo boat, the torpedoes seem to be the opposite end of a magnet from each other and open up huge gaps in the torp line. So anyway, after getting those 2 torpedoes and getting a bit of adrenaline rush now on my GK, you can see we don't have a whole lot of spotting going on right now. Smolens are smoked up. The Gearing and the Shimakaze are basically sitting on top of each other, and neither of them are doing a lot of spotting at the moment. And all we can really see is this Mossfall. As you can see right there, I had the firing glitch on the rear 2 turrets of the GK. That shakiness of the screen was me trying to get the guns to fire. Obviously, it's not going to help, but man, I really wish they would go ahead and patch that glitch out. So Shimakaze and Gearing still sitting in the back, actually just now getting in front of myself and the Smolensk and going back into the cap. So we do know right now that the enemy Gearing's over at the A cap. We've sunken one of their DDs, so there's still 2 DDs chilling around here somewhere. There's a Zhao going for the wide flank. As you can see, neither team's really pushing up. Ironically, on the on the enemy team, the Yami is actually the furthest up battleship. Quite a twist. The Montana and the Hindenburg and the Vermont on the enemy team are sitting well in the back. It's just pretty funny that Yami for once is actually the closest ship in a match on one side. And same for us too. If you look at where I'm at on the map, our Yami, good sign there, is the furthest battleship up on the map so far. So right now, I'm trying to decide what am I going to do. There's a Zhao way out there. I can't really hit him. Don't have Deadeye on GK. I'm not going to put Deadeye on GK because GK in my heart is a secondary brawler, not a sniper. So I can't really hit him. And then we got the Yami hiding behind the island, and Moskva's going way out wide. So I'm thinking right now, well, I'm already 30k health down. So my thought is, if I can pull this off correctly, I can potentially get down the mid and get the enemy Yami and rejoin up with the eastern flank, and then swing back around, and we can pincer the western flank with the eastern flank. Because Zhao right now, if we do this, he'd be really far out of position. And Zhao has plenty of range on his guns, but it looks like he's making a beeline for our J line, ironically. So if I can do this correctly, this could be a brilliant maneuver, as the thought process goes. I mean, I don't think I'm the only one that thinks, oh, I have this plan in my head, and if I pull it off, it will be utterly brilliant. I mean, I think we all function like that, but it hardly ever goes according to plan. So I've decided, well, this is a very still match. No one's moving up a whole lot. I'm going to do it. And I do inform the western flank of my brilliant tactic here. And I ask them to, okay, I'm going to do something kind of dumb. Can you guys push? Because normally what happens when you do this, when you go on mid, and you should honestly do this, of course, with teammates, not just yourself. One flank on the enemy side will completely pull back and try to sink whatever ship's coming through the mid. As you can see right there, and there again, I have been radared now twice. So the enemy team should know that I'm coming. And you can see I kind of hesitated there for a second. I backed off on my speed, and I'm just trying to, I'm thinking, okay, they know I'm coming. Should I still go? I mean, both sides are kind of passive. We did take D. It's like the Minotaur is pushing up now, so that's good. So I'm thinking, okay, now I really have to push up because they're pushing now. And if I just sit here and back up, it's going to take me forever to back up in GK. So I do need to go for it. As you can see, too, Shimakaze was just spotted by the Yami, if you look on my minimap. That's another thing, too, about the minimap. Make sure you get this minimap up as big as you can. You hit that little gear icon in the upper right-hand corner by the minimap. You can adjust, what ships you see on it. If you see last known positions, turn all of that on. And you hit the plus key on your keyboard to make that map big. It can get a lot bigger than this. I just think this is all right for me. Because I do have a bigger monitor, but if you have a smaller monitor and maybe a lower resolution monitor, you can make this thing literally like a 4th inch screen if you really want to. So slow down right here. I pop hydroacoustic search because this is the point at which ships are known to be throwing torpedoes at you. And I'm expecting that Shimakaze to be sitting right there in that gap throwing torpedoes at me because I was radared for half of my voyage up the mid. I'm expecting the Yami, the Moskva, the Shimi, and the Montana to be sitting there waiting for me to come out to blast me, but I know I have to do this because the eastern flank did start to push, despite the Minotaur being sucked now, and now I'm pretty much doing this by myself, and the Shimakaze and Gearing have pilled off. So, at this point, I'm thinking, alright, I'm just going to get murdered when I come around this corner now. Western flank seems to have collapsed, eastern flank seems to have collapsed, so, yeah. Look, Montana's not looking at me, I'm like, okay, I caught a break there. Vermont's not looking at me, I caught a break there. But I'm like, here comes the Siami. He's coming around the corner. His guns are just going to be sitting there right for me. So I get into a position to where I can at least give him one full broadside before I go down from his broadside. And look, Shimakaze's out of position. Yami's not looking at me. Despite me being completely radared the entire time I was coming up the channel. I think that was the Vermont. Got his guns around in time. So now, I just took half of that Yami south away. Thanks, German guns. Should have been more. Secondaries are going absolutely nuts right now, and with the new secondary skill, secondaries can fire on both sides of the ship. So I'm like, okay, this is working surprisingly well so far. I'm still alive. Yami's, he's not going to get reloaded in time. He's dead. Get my secondaries on the Shimakaze, who still hasn't launched torpedoes at me. Keep in mind again, I was radared most of my journey up the mid. Now I'm radared again now. And the Shimakaze still hasn't launched torpedoes at me or gotten torpedoes in the water. He had plenty of time to realize I was coming up here. There goes Luchin's secondary battery expert loader skill, which I think this is the fastest I've ever popped it off. So yeah, the one time that I think the secondaries firing both sides is actually pretty useful at this moment. We're firing at the Shimakaze, the Moskva, and the Moskva over there and getting hits in. There goes the Shimakaze. Focus my secondaries on the Moskva. So now that's 2 ships I've managed to sink, which is ironically almost doubled our team's kill count now at this point. So yeah, I charged them. They absolutely panicked because I mean you have a almost full health GK coming around the corner from you from within secondary range. So it is a thing that is worth panicking over, and forced the Moskva to get out of position, forced the Shimakaze to reposition. Took out the Hiemi and got from I think 17,000 damage to 119,000 damage in like 2 minutes, if that. So yeah, if those ships were paying attention to their minimap or to just the environment around them, I would have been dead the second I stepped foot out of that channel. I think only the Vermont caught what was going on in time to really get a good salvo off on me. You can see there I lost a huge chunk of health to I think the Vermont. But if that Yami was paying attention, heck, even if just the enemy Shimakaze was paying attention, I would have been dead much faster than that and would have taken out 2 of the enemy ships with me as well. So unfortunately we did not go on to win that match. So that is sad that really epic and really fun run didn't result in a win, but it was fun. I did manage to take out 2 ships with me, really 3 with the Moskva. Managed to get him to maneuver, trying to avoid me and slam straight into I think the Shimakaze's torps. Alright, next match. Alright guys, this is Kriller, member of TSOF, in everyone's favorite Tier 9 Italian DD, the Paolo Emilio, or as I like to call it, the Yolo Emilio. Yolo Emilio is a torpedo delivery system. It has an engine boost and exhaust mode where it can go darn near 60 knots and still be fully encased in smoke. So right now, he has been spotted by the the Yugamo, and spotted by the Fletcher as well. And somebody has popped radar. I believe the Moskva, he's like right on the edge of the Moskva's radar range. He's charging right at the Izumo, the Yugamo, and a Charles Martel. Yugamo begins to open up on him, and there's the Charles Martel as well, getting his HE off on him, that French HE with the reload booster. So that's heavy cruiser HE coming in every, I believe, with the reload booster, like 4 seconds. So pretty terrifying. So Kriller gets his torpedoes off right here on the Yugamo. These are Shimakaze's torpedoes, by the way, but they have a 6-kilometer range instead of the 12 or the 20-kilometer range. So he gets the Yugamo there with that torpedo strike. Launches, I believe he has Cincinnati on here. Launches Cincinnati's one of Cincinnati's talents. He gets a second set of torpedoes off on the Izumo, and there we go. He gets a devastating strike, and I believe just a few seconds short of a double strike there. Escapes with 763 health. So, in terms of situational awareness, that group of ships right there, it did have good situational awareness. as you can tell, Kriller got very lucky. Literally one more shell hit from a secondary or a even the Yugamo's shells would have ended him. So he got out of that situation very lucky. But he's not done with his run just yet. So, as you can tell by the flow of the battle so far, it's pretty even. Kriller did just help tip the scales more in his team's balance now. But he's going out west, away from that huge group of ships over there that can bring him a lot of pain. You got a Charles Martel, Zhao, Mosfa with radar, and an Iowa out over there. Zhao, of course, has that IJN HE, which is slaps so hard. If you've ever been hit by a Zhao, you know what it feels like, or a Yoshino or an Azuma. That HE freaking slaps. Probably some of the best HE in the game. Next to the British HE. The British HE gets the awesome HE alpha damage and the fires, where the Japanese HE just has really, really, really darn good alpha. So Kriller's got his eyes set on that North Carolina right there. He's got torpedoes that can completely nuke that North Carolina with just one set. One set from the Emilio here can nuke a tier 9 battleship, unless it's got really good torp protection. Each torpedo does a neighborhood of 24,000 damage, so yeah, really powerful ship. But of course, it only has 6 kilometer range, but it is specifically designed to basically pop smoke, run straight at battleships, and dump torpedoes in their face, or as we just saw, destroyers too. So he's got a Holland out there to his left, trying to stay away from him, keeping his eye on him, and still got, as I said, on that North Carolina, that nice juicy 62,000 HP that North Carolina has. Also, the guns on the Paolo Emilio here do have sap shells, which if you aim correctly, you can just slap the crap out of DDs with this. Easily get 5k salvos if you know how to aim correctly. Which, if he had a bit more health here, I'm 100% sure Kriller would be shooting at that Holland right now. But he really can't risk it because he only has 700 health left on his ship. So things kind of take a turn for the worse for the friendly team over at C. The enemy team has managed to hold on to it, and at A right now, the Holland is capping it. Alright, so Kriller has a North Carolina for him. He also has a Bismarck. Now, Bismarck has hydroacoustic search. Has a 6 kilometer range and lasts for, well, depending upon what your build is now, quite a long time. So he pops a smoke screen, and he's fully committed to going after this North Carolina, okay? So keep in mind now, it's pretty easy to tell when Apollo is coming at you because you have this smoke screen that's moving at 60 knots. So you know it's coming if you just use your eyeballs. So he's going after this North Carolina, and he's keeping his eye out for that Bismarck's hydro. Because if he gets spotted by that, he has to dump his torps at the NorCal in order to even have a chance of getting him off. So he's turning out to make sure he can still get torpedo arcs on the NorCal when he needs to. And hello, Bismarck! You have hydro! And he's sailing straight toward a smoke screen that's traveling at 60 knots. Dumps two sets of torps at the Bismarck, gets the Bismarck, launches his third set of torps at the North Carolina, and a Hail Mary of a torpedo launch. And the North Carolina is sailing in a perfectly straight line, and there we go. He gets his devastating strike, flesh wound, and high caliber just like that. Ah, God, guys. That's why when you see me play, at least when I'm playing the battleship, I'll fire, pop out of the scope, look around for a second, and then, get ready to fire again. You can't get tunnel vision in a battleship, or that'll happen to you. So, yeah, if that Bismarck had simply looked in front of his ship, he would see a smoke screen flying around at 60 knots, popped his hydro. Secondaries would have absolutely mauled Kriller. Because he didn't do that, enemy team lost a Bismarck and a North Carolina, both at almost full health. Just like that. So guys, be aware of your surroundings, use your eyeballs, look around the map. Don't depend on callouts, don't depend on the detection system to really, alert you to everything, because we have ships like this in the game now, and of course smoke in general. Of course, you need to be paying attention to where that smoke's popping up so you don't get poloed like that. Unfortunately, Kriller was one short of Kraken Unleashed, but very good run there from Kriller, and very nice lesson there in situational awareness from Kriller. Alright guys, if you enjoyed this video, make sure to drop a like, leave a comment, subscribe to the channel, and please go check out Ranked Amateurs podcast and tell them that I sent you there. Although I don't think there's comment sections in podcasts. My first podcast ever being on. It's pretty cool. But yeah, anyway, guys, please go check out the podcast and some pretty fun stuff that we talked about there. All right, guys, hope you're having a wonderful Monday. Hope to catch you guys in the next one.